Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Anthony here with the Inch Drone, and in today's video we're going to be talking about gear. Before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is a YouTube SEO tool that helps you grow your channel using tags, titles, thumbnails. It's an amazing tool and it's what I've been using to grow this YouTube channel, so definitely check out my link in the description below, and by clicking on it you'll learn more information and even get a free trial. If you guys have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section below, but let's get into the actual topic of the video. So I actually had a viewer request on one of my videos probably a week or so ago that they wanted me to do a video about gear. And this is actually a really good idea and a video that I've been thinking about doing for a while. So in this video, I'm gonna go over all of my gear, from drones to cameras to computers. And after all, this is a drone channel, so let's start off with drones. Those three drones are the DJI Phantom 4 Pro, the DJI Mavic 2 Pro, and the DJI Mavic Mini. The main drone that I shoot with almost 98% of the time is definitely the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. The reason why is because it is a phenomenal drone with a Hasselblad camera that features a 1-inch sensor, and it also shoots 4K at 30 frames per second video. Another reason I choose the Mavic 2 Pro over the other two is because of the gimbal. The gimbal on the Mavic 2 Pro allows me to get these really dynamic sweeping shots that I just couldn't get with the Phantom 4 Pro or the Mavic Mini. And I shouldn't say that I couldn't get with those drones, because I definitely could. It's just that the Mavic 2 makes it easier to get those types of shots. With the Mavic 2, I can just put my finger on the screen and guide the gimbal to go either left or right, up or down. My second favorite drone is definitely the DJI Phantom 4 Pro. This is also because it features a 1-inch sensor, but it also shoots 4K at 60 frames per second, something that the Mavic 2 Pro can't do. It also has a global shutter, which means that when you take a picture, instead of matching the color to a line of pixels, it matches the color to each individual pixel, providing a better looking photo. This is one thing I wish that the Mavic 2 had, but it still doesn't negate the fact that in my eyes, the Mavic 2 is definitely the superior drone because of its features. And lastly, the Mavic Mini. The Mavic Mini is just a fun drone to fly around. I can fly it around the house, and I can also fly it in the backyard relatively easily, and it's just a fun little drone to own. Now let's talk remotes. So for the Mavic Mini and the Mavic 2 Pro, I just use the standard remotes that came with the drones. With the Phantom 4 Pro, I actually have a smart controller with a built-in screen. This is so nice because it features a brighter screen, which allows you to see the screen better in harsh lighting conditions, like a hot Arizona day. So that is drones. Let's talk about gimbals. So I currently only own one gimbal, and that is the DJI Ronin-S. Now I know that the Ronin-S 2, or whatever they're calling it, I haven't been keeping track of the Ronin, so sorry if that was wrong. But the Ronin-S 2 just came out, and I have no desire to upgrade to it. It does look very impressive, and I would upgrade to it if I had the extra cash lying around, but I don't need to upgrade to it because the Ronin-S is a great gimbal for your camera. It's what I use during my real estate jobs, and it allows me to get these really smooth cinematic shots that I just couldn't get handheld. I've also used it for vlogging before in Flagstaff with Amanda, and I was pretty impressed, and maybe I'd even use it in the future, although it does look really crazy holding this giant gimbal while you're vlogging, but it does provide a really smooth video. I really love the Ronin-S, and I recommend it to any professional out there. Now let's talk cameras. So I own two cameras. Let's start with the camera I'm filming with right now. The camera I'm filming with right now is the Lumix GH5, also known as the Panasonic GH5. And I currently use a 12 to 60 millimeter lens on it. This is actually a lens that is tailored for video specifically, and this is my video camera. A lot of people are confused when I show up to places. They think I'm taking pictures with it because it does look like a traditional DSLR or a new mirrorless photo camera, but actually this camera is far superior at video. It shoots 4K at 60 frames per second video, which allows me to get the smooth cinematic shots paired with the Ronin-S. It is a fantastic camera, and it was worth the $2,000 I paid for it. My other camera is a Sony a6000. This camera is used specifically for photos, as I think the video on it is trash. So I shouldn't say that it's trash when it comes to video, because The Sony a6000, to be honest, actually probably does take pretty good video for the average person buying the camera. But for me, since I'm looking for more professional uses, I don't like it. But when it comes to photos, it takes phenomenal 24 megapixel photos that you just can't beat. Check out these interior real estate shots that I've taken with the camera. It is fantastic, and my clients always love the photos they get from the a6000. One thing I do need to spend money on though is a nice wide angle lens. The lens that I use on the a6000 is a 50mm lens, which isn't technically wide angle, and having a wide angle lens on the a6000 would allow me to take even better real estate interior photography. I just haven't upgraded to a true wide angle lens yet because I haven't needed to. My clients have been really happy with the photos they get from the 50mm lens, but eventually I think I will get a wide angle lens for it. Now let's talk audio. So for audio in these videos, I have two microphones that I use. The microphone you're hearing me on right now is a Rode shotgun microphone that I bought almost 10 years ago. Yes, almost 10 years ago. And it is broken. It does not slide into the mount on top of my Lumix GH5. Instead, I have to place it on top of the camera and balance it so that it doesn't fall off. I know, it's absolutely ridiculous, but I haven't bought a new Rode microphone because this one still works great. I've had it for years, and I just really haven't had the need to buy a new microphone. Now, it wouldn't hurt to have a Rode microphone that actually can mount to my GH5 because then I could do some really awesome vlogging. But the internal microphone on the GH5 is actually pretty impressive. If you go back and watch the Flagstaff vlogs and the Sedona vlogs that I did with Amanda, you actually can hear the internal microphone on the Lumix GH5 because I didn't have a microphone during those vlogs. I just had the internal microphone on this camera. And when I went back and edited, I was like, wow, that's really an impressive sound for an internal microphone. But at the end of the day, I'm always gonna use a professional microphone for videos like this because it's important to have really good audio when you're making YouTube videos. So if you're looking for a really good microphone for your camera, I would definitely check out Rode and their website because they have a lot of different cameras, from shotgun mics to music recording mics, from the microphones that clip to your shirt. So they have a lot of different options. So check them out. They've always been a great audio company. Now let's talk about the second microphone I use. The second microphone I use is a blue Snowball microphone. This is what I use for all my voiceovers, editing tutorials. I even have used it before with this camera and my iPad and have sunk everything up. I don't know why I've done that. It's so much easier to just do the Rode video mic. But when I'm doing things on the actual computer with screen recording and tutorials and whatnot, it is definitely the better microphone to use. It is actually built for computers and podcasts and that type of thing. It's not really meant to be used with a camera like this, but it certainly does work if you need it to be used for that, if you want to sync everything up later. I really like the blue Snowball microphone, and I bought this microphone for only $50 at Best Buy. So definitely affordable, great audio, and I've never had any issues with the audio. It's always been very crisp and professional sounding. Now let's talk computers. So the first computer we're going to talk about is actually not a computer at all, but it is made by a company that makes computers. It is my iPhone. I use the iPhone 11 Pro. The iPhone 11 Pro is a phenomenal phone for me to use for my drone and video work. The reason why I'm mentioning the iPhone 11 Pro is because this is honestly the best iPhone I've ever had. I've always been an Apple guy, and I would never switch up on Apple. I think that they make the best products, and for me personally, they make the best products for creativity. The iPhone in the past has had some issues with overheating, but with the iPhone 11 Pro, I've had a flawless experience. I've actually never had this phone overheat once, and I live in Arizona, which is pretty crazy. With my last iPhone XS, my phone overheated all the time. It was ridiculous. The iPhone 10 overheated all the time, but the iPhone 11 Pro, they did something different because I have not had one single overheat warning ever since owning this phone. And I've had this phone now for well over 6 months. Now let's talk about my other computers. So on my desk, I have a 21.5-inch iMac and a 15-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. To be honest with you, I use the MacBook Pro more than I use the iMac. It's a more powerful machine. So my MacBook Pro spec-wise has 16 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte solid state hard drive, and I believe it has a 4 gigabyte graphics card. I'm gonna put the specs up on the screen, so just in case I got anything wrong, There it is, you can see. It's a phenomenal machine. It's what I use to edit all of these YouTube videos. It's what I use to run my drone business. So for video on the MacBook, I edit with Final Cut Pro. It is a phenomenal editing software, and in my opinion, the best one there is. And I also edit with Lightroom for my photography on the MacBook Pro. But this year, I actually picked up the 2020 iPad, the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. And it is a great iPad, and the reason I bought it is because my previous iPad Pro I had had since 2015. That's 5 years. And although it was a great iPad, I wanted one of the newer iPads that was more powerful, that worked with a second generation Apple Pencil. So that is why I went ahead and picked up the 2020 iPad Pro. And so far it has been a great device for creativity. I use it to edit all my photos. I use it to create my thumbnails here on YouTube. And I also use it as a media consumption device for YouTube videos, Facebook, Instagram, web browsing, email, all that. I absolutely love this iPad, and it's definitely gonna be my iPad for the next 5 years. So let's see, we went over drones, we went over cameras, we went over gimbals, and we went over computers. I honestly can't think of anything else, and I really hope I didn't miss anything because this was a lot to cover. Sometimes I take notes when I make videos, but for this video, I'm doing it all off the top of my head. So as far as I know, I covered all my gear. And if I missed anything, that sucks, but you got a general idea of everything I have as far as gear goes. And I love my gear. I wouldn't switch it up for anything unless, you know, obviously I'm upgrading to the newer version, but I really enjoy the gear that I have, and it allows me to create awesome content. So in case any of you guys were wondering what all of this gear costs me, first of all, before I tell you guys what it cost me, I'm gonna tell you guys right now that I didn't get it overnight. It took time, it took me building up my business, and it took a lot of work to get this gear. It did not just fall into my hands. So let me get that straight. But in total, I've spent around $13,600 on all of my gear. For all my friends and family that know me, they know that I spend a lot of money on technology, and I love technology. It is absolutely my passion, and I love everything about it. Having all this technology is great, and it allows me to create the videos that I love to make. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, definitely hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you're updated when I create new videos. And also, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up because it will help rank in the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.